All right, let's talk about something we all do every single night, but almost none of us really understand: dreaming. We're about to jump into a really fascinating puzzle, a paradox actually, that might just flip everything you thought you knew about your sleeping brain completely on its head.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever woken up remembering not a crazy story, but something weirdly logical, like you were solving a math problem or rehearsing a speech? It sounds kind of impossible, right? But if you've ever had that happen, you've experienced the exact mystery we're going to unravel today.
You know, for the most part, when we think of dreams, we picture these wild, emotional stories that make absolutely no sense. Logic is for when we're awake. So the idea of your brain actually thinking logically while you're asleep, well, it feels like it just doesn't compute. But what if that's not the whole story?
Well, that contradiction, it's at the very heart of what neuroscientists call the sleep paradox. And trust me, it's a real head-scratcher that makes us question some basic ideas about how our brains are supposed to work.
Okay, so here's rule number one for when we're awake. The faster our brain waves are firing, the more we're using our complex, logical thinking. You know, planning, reasoning, solving problems. That's all high-speed brain activity. Pretty simple, right? Faster equals smarter.
So, here's the paradox. Those little flashes of logic in our sleep, the math problems and the rehearsals, they don't happen when our brain is buzzing along. No, they happen when our brain activity is at its absolute slowest. How on earth is that possible? To figure this out, we've got to look at our sleep in two very different stages.
First up, let's talk about NREM, or non-rapid eye movement sleep. This is where things get interesting and where those little logical ghosts tend to show up.
The dreams that happen in this state are, well, they're barely dreams at all. They aren't these epic movies. They're short, they're abstract, and they honestly feel more like just thoughts. This is exactly where you might find yourself dreaming about a formula or just running through one specific task over and over.
So what's going on here? During NREM sleep, the brain is all about these really slow waves, and its main job is to consolidate memories. It's replaying and filing away the plain, hard facts of your day. You can really think of it as your brain doing a nightly data backup, just tidying everything up.
Okay, now let's flip the coin and look at the other, much more famous state, REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. And if NREM is the quiet data backup, REM sleep is the wild, big-budget Hollywood blockbuster.
Now this is the kind of dreaming we all know and talk about. The dreams are long, they're super vivid, and often just completely bizarre. They're packed with intense emotions and woven into these complicated stories that, usually fall apart the second you try to explain them.
And get this is where the paradox gets even weirder. During REM, your brain activity actually speeds up, almost like you're about to wake up. But, and this is the absolute key, your brain's logic center, a part of the prefrontal cortex, is basically offline. It's strongly suppressed. Instead, your emotional centers, like the amygdala, are totally running the show.
So let's just lay it all out. NREM sleep has these slow brain waves, but produces logical thoughts. REM sleep has fast brain waves, but produces emotional, illogical stories. It's the complete opposite of how things work when we're awake. What is going on?
Okay, we've got all the clues. We've laid out all the pieces of this very strange puzzle. So, how do we finally solve it? Well, it turns out the big twist is that we've been asking the wrong question all along. We've been so focused on how fast the brain is working, but that's not what actually matters for this puzzle.
The real answer, the secret key, isn't speed. It's stability. It's about how synchronized and orderly those brainwaves are. Are they locked into a rigid, predictable rhythm, or are they loose, flexible, and free-flowing?
And just like that, everything clicks into place. During NREM sleep, those slow waves are incredibly stable. They're locked in. This rigid, quiet state is the perfect environment for a clean, precise replay of factual memories, like a single equation or a specific task. But in REM sleep, the waves are faster, sure, but they're unstable. They're unlocked. And that flexibility is what allows all these different emotional memories to connect and recombine in totally new, creative, story-like ways.
The researchers who cracked this code could it just perfectly. They said, logic requires stability, not speed, whereas emotion requires dispersion, not slowness. So what's the big deal? Why does this even matter? Why would our brains evolve this incredibly complex, two-part system for dreaming every night?
Well, it has huge implications for how every single one of us learns and remembers our lives.
See, the big takeaway here is that dreaming isn't just one thing. It's a sophisticated process with two totally different but equally important jobs. NREM sleep is there to reinforce the facts, the what you learned. Then REM sleep comes in to integrate those facts with your emotions, the so what. Your brain spends the whole night switching back and forth between organizing information and giving it meaning.
You can really think of it this way. Every single night, your brain performs a two-step service for your memory. Step 1, during NREM, it's like a meticulous librarian, organizing and neatly filing away all the information from the day. Then, in Step 2, during REM, it becomes a master storyteller, taking those facts off the shelves and weaving them into the rich, emotional, ongoing story of who you are.
So as you head to sleep tonight, just remember that you're not just shutting down. Your brain is hard at work, learning and becoming. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What new things from your day will your brain choose to organize tonight, and what amazing new stories will it decide to tell?